What's going on, guys? Enzo here, coming at you guys with a unique video that I have never made before. But per popular request, I'm finally sitting down here with my audience and having a conversation with you guys, even though it's a little bit of a one-sided conversation, I guess, when it's just me speaking to you. But per popular request, this is going to be a video about me and my story, and I'm going to try to include a lot of mindset gems in here as well, and advice for you guys. So I guess let's just get into it. If you don't know me, I'm Enzo. I'm 21 currently. I'll be 22 later this year. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California, and I've lived here in Miami, Florida for about 3 years now. I'm a full-time day trader, and this story really gets back to about the relevant parts of the story where I started making decisions that impacted my life today, 15 years old. But growing up my entire life, I kind of had those entrepreneur traits naturally. I could have been 8 years old and I was at the mall with my mom, and I'd be like, that kiosk should lower their price and they would make way more money if they had way more volume, like stuff like that, which isn't too profound or advanced, but naturally even thinking that way and looking at things in business, and I naturally just had that inside of me as a young man. And my dad, he was an entrepreneur, not a very successful one, being honest, but he had owned and operated businesses throughout his entire life, and I definitely have that entrepreneur trait inside of me. Now, getting into where the story really begins. I'm 15 years old. I'm a sophomore in high school. It's 2021. I have a 1.3 weighted GPA. I sell weed most of my time. If I'm not selling weed, I'm probably smoking it. If I'm not smoking it, I'm probably drinking. And I'm the popular party kid. Not like that's so cringe to say, honestly, but I wasn't even that well liked. But I had a lot of friends, especially like sophomore year, growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area. So you have like the East Bay, San Francisco. The area I'm from is called Marin. All of these are like separated across the Bay Islands, and they're like completely different cities. And I would be like riding my bicycle to hop on a bus, and then taking the bus to go to a train, and then the train to like my friends, and I would be bouncing around the whole Bay Area. So like, I'm not trying to sound cringe, but I did have like a lot of friends, and I was just constantly partying with them, and it was fun, of course, for a little bit, right? That's like fulfilling for a kid at first, and it's like having those boy meets world moments and girlfriends and fun and partying, and it's cool at first. 4 a.m. riding the skateboard back from your friend's house, you're sneaking out, whatever. All that stuff's cool while it lasts, but all of a sudden, I kind of felt the reality hitting, where it was like, wow, I'm halfway through high school already? This shit's gonna be over like that, and it was. And I'm really lucky that I pulled my head out of my ass slightly before it was too late. But I had this foresight where I was like, I have a 1.3 GPA. I literally have nothing to fall back on. I do not come from a wealthy family. I had nothing to fall back on. None of what I had no head start, not a penny was given to me. I was selling weed, like I said, to be able to buy food that I wanted, to hang out with my friends, and shoes, whatever I wanted. I supplied myself. And moral of the story, or not moral of the story, point is, I was not going down the right path. And I realized this, and I was like, okay, this is not sustainable. I'm not gonna be able to go to college because I don't have the grades nor the money, and I'm not taking out a student loan. I don't wanna work full time. What am I gonna do? So I decided I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, and I started out with social media marketing. I did, on Nextdoor, I would just put up posts like, for small businesses, I'll do your search engine optimization, I'll build your website, basic IT even, like, I can't figure out how to set up this printer, I'd come do it for 20 bucks. So that's kind of where I started with like my attempt at more serious entrepreneurship, besides selling candy in middle school, or obviously selling weed in high school and stuff like that, or being a baseball umpire at one point. Anyways, this was my first like real crack at something, and it actually went decent. I made some money, but I decided it wasn't for me, and I stopped doing the social media marketing agency. I dabbled with drop shipping, failed, and I got into day trading. I don't even remember how. People ask me a lot, like, how'd you get into it? I'm pretty sure, and this is what I tell people mostly, I do remember just doing research, so I'm pretty sure that I just was looking for a way out of the situation that I was in, and I did a lot of research on different stuff, and I found that day trading, while it's not the easiest thing, it's extremely appealing, and immediately fell in love with that appeal of, wow, I could really do a small amount of work and make more money than most people and have this complete freedom, locational freedom, time freedom, all of it. Where even if you own the business of your dreams, you're probably working very hard. The real dream for me is what I have, being a day trader. I'm able to do whatever I want. I don't even have to wake up. I live trade and I have a Discord server, so I'm pretty much obligated to be on the charts Monday through Friday. But like, at the end of the day, the whole point is that I don't really have to wake up. Anyways, I do because I want to, but the whole beauty of it in the freedom is just having the right to not have to get up at 6:30 a.m. and go drive to work, because I know how that is. I knew how it was, 45 degrees, wet, cold mornings, 6 a.m., waking up, getting in the car to go open the store at the bakery where I worked and put on an apron and served your latte and grabbed your croissant and took your order and washed dishes and took out the trash. I've been there, and I'm honestly grateful for living the duality and having walked that poor life before I was able to live the life I have now. I think it gave me a lot of humility and grace and extreme amount of gratitude for what I have now. But to get back on track with the story, I get into day trading. I'll kind of break this part down and keep it a long story short. This is a 2.5 year journey of start to profitability. And when I say profitability, it's not even close to what it looks like now, but to the point where I started making any money at all on a semi-consistent level. It took about 2.5 years, or the better part of 3 years, to do. And like I said, I got into trading at 2021, 15 years old. I started with pocket options. Then I got into stock options. I was doing those for, close to a year, I think, stock options. And I actually had made some money at one point or another, but overall I ended up losing it and giving it all back to the market. And I realized the trading journey is really not linear at all. You'll go from not making money to make money, lose it all, make some money, lose it all, you keep fucking it up different ways. And you're like, okay, I got it now, I won't make that mistake again. And then you make another mistake and you're like, okay, I got it now, I won't make that mistake again. You just add it to this bag of mistakes that you've already made and that you're not gonna repeat. And eventually you fucked up so many times and in so many ways that you don't fuck up anymore because you're sick of making the same mistakes over and over again. And where this really helped, or where I really had some help with not making the same mistakes over and over again, was when I almost died. I was in a horrible car accident in 2022 when I was 16 years old. I was actually 17 2 months later, so 16 years old, and it was 2022 September. I got into a really bad car crash, and this was the landmark in this timeline of the profitability. I swear to God, I got in that car crash. It wasn't even 90 days later, I got 5 figures worth of trading profits in my first payout from FTMO. Back to that really quick backtrack before I get back to this car accident. This car accident was, luckily nobody got really seriously hurt at all. We all went to the hospital. I was in the ICU for like 2 days. The car flipped a bunch of times, went up this thing. They were making sure I didn't have internal bleeding, all this stuff. They told me it was a miracle I wasn't seriously injured. This car crash was nasty, and I was traumatized by this for a long, long time. I'm completely over it now, and within a year of that incident, I had realized God did that whole thing. I don't know whether God just protected me or did this whole thing on purpose to make me wake up, but this was the best motivator ever, because I almost fucking died. And if you haven't almost died yet, you might want to try it sometime, but I'm joking. But all of a sudden you realize, I'm about to leave my mom unretired. I'm about to leave no story, no legacy, no money, nothing behind. I didn't even get the chance to get married, have a wife, have kids. And I still have this mindset today. I could walk outside tomorrow and it's just my lucky day where some terrorist decides to open up down the street with the machine gun. You never know when it's gonna be your day. It could be a car crash, it could be a bad storm, it could be anything. And I don't want you to live this scared mindset where you shouldn't be afraid of death, but you should also know that tomorrow is not promised, and you need to treat every day like it's your last. And every day that you wake up and you open up your eyes, 1,000 blessings already happened. And you need to make sure that not only you count those, but you do the best with your time that's available, because time flies. Anybody can relate to time flying. You ask a little kid who's 10 years old, he'll tell you, wow, I was 6 yesterday. You ask me who's 21 years old, wow, I was 12 yesterday. You ask your dad who's 60, wow, I was your age yesterday. Time flies. Time flies way too fucking quickly. And the fact of the matter is, that incident made me realize how much my time was worth. And I stopped making the same mistakes over and over again. I started adopting a real discipline and mindset and consistency. Back then I wasn't even getting up every single day. I would be, oh, I'm too tired to trade today. I'm sleeping. That inconsistency, that type of shit, that all left. Over trading, revenge trading, the same habits I kept fucking up every single time, over and over again. Not only was I sick of making the same mistakes over again, I realized I don't have time to do that. And not only is tomorrow not promised, I wanted to get rich before graduation, because all of a sudden I'm realizing everybody at this point, when I'm like 17, is talking about, oh, did you fill out your Common App? What are you applying to for next year? Whoa, what? We're applying to colleges already? I got nothing going on. I have a horrible GPA still. It was way worse sophomore year when it was weighted 1.3. I got it back up. Obviously, I graduated high school. Like I improved my grades and locked in with that a little bit. But I still had a very mediocre GPA at this point. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get in any good school still. I'm not taking out a student loan. My parents wanted me to go to a community college. I was delusional, and I was hell-bent focused on this goal. And I thank God for it. I think God put this dream in my head for a reason. And I think that if you have the same dream, you could say the same about yourself. I think that this is something where, everybody has a failure story, right, with day trading. Nobody picks it up and, oh, I made 10K in my first day trading. You never heard of it. It doesn't exist. You have to be able to persevere through that failure. They say like 99% of traders fail. The truth is 100% of them fail. 100%, every single person has failed. It's only 1% that can keep going through that. How many people do you know are crazy enough to wake up at the time, 6 a.m. every single day, Monday through Friday, and give up their last money? I wasn't even trading prop firms at the time. I was trading Webull live account, Hugo's Way live account, live deposits, and it would be like my last $500, and I'd wipe it. And I'm not saying you should do that, and this is not a good thing, but I had this obsessive, insane delusion with getting this done, and this was the only goal I cared about. And it didn't matter that even my own parents, my mom never said, oh, you can't day trade, but she's still the type where you should have a job on the side, you should do this, you should go to college still, plan B, plan C. My dad said plan A is fucked. Day trading's a scam. That shit ain't gonna work, twin. Wrap it up. And I didn't listen to anyone. My parents were not even my biggest critics, at all. They were still way more supportive than my peers, for example. If I was in class and a kid saw my chart, what are you doing, day trading? Just talk some shit, say it's a scam. It's almost crazy. I don't want to sound like an Andrew Tate bot right now, but it's like when they say like the Matrix will try to get you, that's how it felt, because everybody was telling me not to do this, and I was like, you're just part of the Matrix. Even my own boss, when I was working at the bakery and it was time for me to quit, now this is jumping out of the timeline, because this is after I made over 100K by this point. But I'm like, yo, I just made a bunch of money in this trading payout. I'm quitting. I'm done. And he was like, that lasts. Money doesn't last. You might have just made like 50K, but you're about to move out, you say, and you're gonna have to pay rent. You should keep your job. And it was almost like every time somebody told me not to do something, I was just like, I'm taking the leap. I'm jumping right now. And I would say that the main decisions that helped me get to where I am now were not only not going to college, but being just so focused on this is it. Like, there was no plan B, there was no plan C. Failure was not an option. I had a core self-belief that I was going to get this done. And I think that if you have an intention or what you want, and you have an actionable plan on how to get it, and this is the key sauce right here. You know what you want, you know how to get it, you have an actionable plan, so a plan you can actually take actions on. You can just go and do it. And all you have to do is have a core self-belief in it. But I swear to God, if you have a belief, you know what you want, and you know what you have to do, and you align those actions with that goal, everything will fall into place like magic. And it is divine, and I believe in God. And not only have I had divine stuff like that car accident happen, but when it comes to even the people in my life that I met, when I met them, just the way that things fell into place, there was no doubt to me that not only is energy real and frequency and manifestation, whatever you want to say, neuro-linguistic programming, the programming of the subconscious mind, but God, Jesus Christ, above all of this stuff is real. And there are ways, not necessarily so much that you can articulate it, in my opinion. Like, you can't really, like, I know some people study this stuff and they say, oh, I can manifest this and that. I'm not sure that I can believe in that, because in my opinion, if somebody can manifest whatever, they could, what are they gonna do, spawn in whatever they want? That sounds awesome, but I'm not on that level yet. But I do believe that if you are obsessed with something and you want it and you are aligning those actions with that goal, like I said, everything will fall into place. And that's what happened to me. And I don't know, I don't want to focus too much on the trading stuff. I want to keep this more on the mindset stuff and like the story stuff, because I really feel like even if this wasn't about trading, even if it was like, I want to do the SMMA, I want to make this work, or I want to make anything work, I want to be an NFL player, whatever the fuck I wanted to be, I could have went all in and gotten it done the same way I got this done. But this was what I wanted more than anything. This became my dream. I fell in love with this idea of, wow, you don't have to have a degree, you don't have to have a boss, you don't have to have any structure, you barely work, if you even call it that, and you make more money than most people, and you're completely free to do it wherever you want, whenever you want. And it's just like the most free lifestyle you could think of. Because even if you own the business of your dreams, which I plan on accelerating as an entrepreneur and building something bigger than myself in the future. But when it comes to even entrepreneurship like that, you have to realize you're tying yourself down so much. You're gonna have meetings, you're gonna have employees, you're gonna have things to do as a boss. But when it comes to day trading, you don't have any of that bullshit. It's just you and this chart, and you don't spend too much time on it because you're not supposed to. And 2 hours a day or less, and all of a sudden you get whatever you want. And I think that I fell in love with this idea so much. I needed to make it work. And like I said, not having a plan B, not having a plan C, just having this core self-belief that I'm going to make this work no matter what comes my way. And that's just exactly what happened. And more on the trading side of things, to give you more context on the timeline, that car crash was in September of 2022. It was October that I got funded on two 200K FTMO accounts. And by May of 2023, I had bought a Porsche in February. I'd made over $100,000, and my graduation was in June. I will put an image up here. I put 4X, the number 4, the letter X on my graduation cap for 4X, obviously. I trade futures now. But when I graduated, I went full-time 4X. I had a nice car that I was able to drive off the lot to show my peers that, yeah, just because I'm not going to college doesn't mean shit. I bought that car to prove to myself and other people around me that what I was doing was legitimate. I had a Rolex at the time already, a cheaper one, but a pretty nice one actually, GMT Master 2. And it just became this thing where if you had asked me a year ago, I was gonna do this. And it kind of happened right before the bell, where, like I said, September before graduation was my car crash, graduation being in June. In May is when I hit that 100K mark. And in February, I bought the Porsche. In March, I bought the Rolex. And by the time, you see how it's that new year, in October, I started making those payouts. And by the time it was February, car, March, watch, then graduation. And I just wanted those things because they were quantifying my success for me, physically, making it tangible. And I don't know if that was more for others or for myself. I think a little bit of both. I think I needed to prove it to myself that I had done it and that it was real, and to others that, yeah, I'm not going to college, but it didn't matter. And that's when I moved to Miami, and obviously I've just been scaling ever since. Ended up obviously transitioning into full-time futures trading when we had regulatory changes in the Forex industry in early 2024. So I stopped trading CFDs and commodities there, moved into indice trading, obviously, or I should say indices, NASDAQ full-time. But yeah, that's kind of like the story right there. And I mean, to sum this up and give you my advice, go against the stream, because that was a huge thing for me as well. I realized, like, I had this basic pattern recognition where I looked around at me, right? Both of my parents went to college. No offense to my parents, I love them both. They were poor. They did not get to where I wanted to be and where I want to be. And I was like, okay, I'm not listening to these people. They went to college, they didn't get the result. They're telling me to go to college to do what? Get that same lack of results? Yes, there's people that go to college and get successful, of course. But do you know how many people, especially in the modern day, are going to college and doing what you're supposed to do? Go to college, get a job, do this, have a family. If you're lucky, 2 vacations a year, save your money. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to buy a house, which is a pretty much dead American dream in this economy with the way that they pay people and the way that things cost for most people. College is not a scam, I'm not gonna say that, but it is definitely not your best option. That's not a doubt. It is not the best option. If what you wanna do is get rich, obviously not the best option, because most people go through this path and most people do not succeed in the way that you might want to succeed, in the way that I wanted to succeed, in the way that I want to succeed. So go against the stream, forge your own path, find out what you want, exactly what you want, get all the details about it, envision it, feel yourself in that car, feel yourself looking on that balcony, feel yourself wherever you want to be, and think and plan an actionable plan, make a course of action on how you're going to get it. Make those actions, align them with that goal. Everything will fall into place, I fucking promise you. I know it fucking will, it's true. But you do need to make sure that you have that core self-belief, you can't doubt it, and you should never have this plan B or plan C. And a lot of people see videos like this and like, you can't tell kids to do that, you can't tell them, because what if they fail? Then it's not meant for you. If you're not the type of person who's just gonna get this shit done, you might not be that 1% that's gonna become that successful entrepreneur or day trader, movie star, or whatever it is that you want to do. If what you want to do is go travel the world, figure out a plan on how to do it. If what you want to do is become a day trader, figure out a plan on how to do it. Anything in between, you know? But that's really my advice to you guys is figure out what you want and go get it, because it is that easy and there's no other way to put it. You can't say anything else. If you want something, you got to go get it. You got to know what you want. You got to know how to get it, and then you got to actually go and put in those inputs, pull those levers, and get it. And I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that, you know, my story can inspire you guys, because I'm trying not to get emotional here at the end. I'm telling you right now, like, that kid that we're talking about, that 15-year-old, he had nothing going on, like nothing to look forward to, you know, like, and I know he'd be so proud of everything that I did today. Thank you guys.